Hey everybody, welcome back to RBL Weekly, the show where we break down some of the best battles from across the Roast Battle League. I am the commissioner of the Roast Battle League, Pat Barker, joined as always by
Sarah Keller.
The lovely and talented Sarah Keller. And we have a special episode this week. We've been hinting at it, we've been alluding to it, but we haven't come out and made an official announcement. It's time to make the official announcement. We are expanding. We came into this year with 7 official RBL cities. We are now going to 10.
Woo!
That's right. And not stopping there. More on that to come. But for now, let's focus on the 3 cities that we're adding. And specifically, we're going to focus on one of them today with an entire episode to introduce our viewers to this new city. The 3 newest cities we're adding: Denver, Barcelona, and today's feature episode, Toronto.
All right.
Have you seen any footage because these guys have been operating for a little bit, not official Roast Battle League cities. Now they're official. Have you gotten a chance to see any footage from any of these cities?
Nope. I don't think so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. As the commissioner, I was tasked with, hey, if we're going to add somebody, let's do a little quality control. Let's make sure that everything looks good. And I'm very excited to be incorporating these cities. Very different vibes. Very different scenes, very different battles, but I think all 3 are a lot of fun, and I don't believe I've seen any of the battles we're going to be watching today, so this is it's going to be exciting.
All right.
Before we get started, we now have 10 cities. The league is expanding. There's been talk, not even talk. We just finished the second big show at Jam in the Van. Austin came out, battled LA. It was an amazing night, a lot of great battles. We've had LA versus the Bay events. We had Roast Battle Tokyo represented in the Belly Room recently. Roast Battle Barcelona had an appearance recently from the London champion, Ken Grinnell. It is truly, we are crossing over. There's a lot of crossover between the cities. Knowing our 10 cities, if you had to put together a fantasy list, where would you like to battle the most?
Oh, well, the first one, Barcelona, because Spain is like the number one place I want to go in Europe. So Barcelona, Toronto. I mean, I'm so sorry, Toronto, but like, I grew up in Minnesota, so like, I've basically been there.
Wow. The first roast of the day comes from Sarah Keller comparing Toronto to Minnesota.
Yeah. Well, I got called Canadian my entire life. They could be called Minnesotan once.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I know Denver's not far, but like I've just heard so. Is it at the Comedy Works?
It's not. It's not. The Comedy Works, incredible venue, and frankly, being in Denver, I would think that if we did an official league event out there, we might try to shoot for the. We did do a roast battle there in I think 2018, 2019. Yeah. Incredible, one of the best crowds I've ever seen. But no, they run at a separate venue.
Okay. Well, I've only heard that Denver is incredible for comedy, so that would be on there. And then, of course, like anywhere overseas, just so that I can go and experience new things. So, like Tokyo, I want to go. I want to go to London. Those are the only ones we have overseas. So.
As of now.
As of now.
Could be more.
Can we get a roast battle Fiji?
Oh, probably not.
Or Hawaii?
But I'll work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? The battles will probably be trash. It would be a very thinly veiled excuse for us to take tropical vacations.
I'm very okay with that.
Okay. Yeah, if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. I just want to be able to tell my mom, hey, I'm traveling for work, and my work is making fun of a person in a foreign country. That's all I want. It's not too much.
That's the dream.
Exactly. Well, speaking of foreign countries, we start today with our first Canadian city, Toronto. What? It's a foreign country, Canada.
I guess technically, but
you need a passport to get there, so that's how I classify it.
Oh yeah, you do.
Have you been to Toronto?
I'm pretty sure at some point.
Imagine not even knowing. How privileged has your life been where you don't even know if you've been to a great city like Toronto?
Because I would have gone when I was a little kid. I can't remember if that's where my dad ran the marathon or, the Ironman or not.
It was probably just Minnesota. They're all the same.
It was somewhere in Canada. It was one of those cities.
Well, I've been to Toronto. I love Toronto. Very clean, very polite people. Maybe not so much in the roast battle, but out on the streets. And the thing I remember the most is that the squirrels don't run away when you get close to them because everybody's so nice out there that the squirrels have no reason to be afraid of people. And in turn, it freaked me out. So I don't know if any of that's going to come up in the material today. Probably not, but that's my biggest takeaway.
I expect only squirrel content.
I hope so. I hope so. Well, let's get into it. Two things I know for sure. Number one, they've been drawing great crowds in Toronto. They've sold out almost all of their shows since they started. And they have quality battles. And they also have very, very difficult names to pronounce. Ridiculous names. When I got the list of the top 5 battles today, I audibly sighed. I was so upset with some of these names. So let's kick it off in style. This is our number 5 battle. These are all from 2022. I asked each of the new cities, by the way, to send us their top 5 battles from last year so that we could take a look at them and introduce our viewers to what they can expect from these cities. Top 5 battles from Toronto 2022. Number 5, Dave Luka, easy enough, versus Harvasp Katow. Harvasp Katow versus Dave Luka. Let's check it out.
Okay, let's get started. Shut up, Marty. All right, what can I say about Harvasp Katow, a.k.a. Indian Millhouse? a.k.a. Orville Redenbachtar. Honestly, I love it. I'm so happy we're able to match up tonight because I've been trying to upgrade to Bell 5 for like a week, and it's been a nightmare. Every time I'm on hold, they play your set, and I just can't take it. I just hang up every time. But now we can finally talk. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. You're getting the lowest internet connection possible, so fuck you too.
It's enough to watch Indian porn. That shit's like 280p.
You're watching Indian porn. The joke's on you, buddy.
It was research.
I'm sure it was, Dave. I'm sure it was. My turn now? What can I say about Dave? Dave grew up in Woodbridge pretending to be Italian. He grew up watching movies like Goodfellas and was inspired to be in the mob. But unfortunately for Dave, just like rides at the amusement park, the mob had a clear height requirement Dave did not meet. Yo, man, jokes aside though, I really like Dave. Dave's been doing comedy for a long time, and to be doing it for so long and to be this unknown is a feat in itself, you know? It's an achievement in itself. One side, Dave is poppin' though. Dave's videos are poppin' in the Southeast Asian immigrant community, you know? Yeah, brown dads like mine use Dave's comedy to kind of scare their kids straight when they grow up wanting to be comedians. They're like, yo, you want to do comedy? This is what comedians look like. This is how bad your life could be.
Where does stand-up comedian lie on the caste system? You're probably not allowed that. Pretty rough. Yeah. But you know what's weird? India, sorry, were you done?
No, if this was the caste system, you'd be picking up my shit, you know?
Just like your dick, I'm an untouchable.
With that stomach, can you even see your dick, bro? Where is it? When was the last time you saw it? Forget women, you've not seen it in a year, have you?
Forget women, what am I, Indian? I can't.
Bro, we didn't grow to 1 billion in population without women, you know that, right? Meanwhile, half your country died of COVID.
Oh man, rest in peace, London, fuck. No, but it's crazy that you moved here because we know India is a global entertainment powerhouse. Not only do they have Bollywood, apparently they also have a really burgeoning rap community. I just read a Vice article that said putting a spotlight on India's toxic rap culture. Fuck, I read that wrong. I think that was a typo. That was a thinker. Sorry, lady in the corner. Please go, Harv.
I got that though. Good joke. +1 for effort, Dave. Dave Luka was born here, in Woodbridge, Ontario. I moved here in 2013. I have paid more in taxes than Dave has made his entire life. Dave shouldn't even be here roasting me. He shouldn't even be looking me in the eye. It's successful immigrants like me that make sure his welfare checks keep showing up. You know? But hey, Dave's parents, They are affluent though, and they made some great financial choices. Like when they were splitting up, each of them spent a lot of money on lawyer fees to make sure they don't get custody of Dave. Dave is the first Italian to get kicked out by his parents. A bit of a pioneer here. Give it up for Dave.
Harv started doing stand-up comedy because the poverty and culture of sexual assault reminded him of home. That's why he did it.
In fact, I started doing it when I watched you. I was like, wait, he can do it?
You should watch me bathe. Then maybe you can start doing that.
You should watch me comb my hair, bro.
What, the ones on your mom's lower back? Okay.
She still has more on her lower back than you have on your head.
I told you that was the same with rights. Well, I just want to take a serious moment here at the end, because you know what? Today is actually a really important day in Indian culture. Today is 26/11, which commemorates one of India's worst modern terrorist attacks. 26/11 also represents the appropriate age gap for an Indian wedding.
That's a good one, Dave. Yeah, great research. I'm gonna end my...
Props me on pedophilia.
Yeah, it's great, man. My parents are 13 years apart. That's accurate, bro. Come on.
No, but I do have to say that he is married, and it wasn't one of those weird ones. He proposed to her, and she gave him the honor of saying yes. If she said no, it would have been an honor killing.
Are you good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's the bad one.
Whoa, my last one's left. Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna end with a looks like. So Dave looks like Super Mario if Super Mario was ordered from Wish.com. Dave is still in his 20s, guys. He's younger than me, in spite of looking like he's having a midlife crisis. Guys, Dave looks like a paperback bang. Wait, paperback bang? I said that wrong. He looks like a paperback banger. No one would even bang him with a paper bag on. No one hates their parents that much. Finally, I did want to say something nice about his looks, guys. I wanted to end on something nice about his looks. So all I'll say is, if they ever make body positive mannequins for men, they should make them look like Dave Luka.
Wow, that was exhausting. That was a lot.
That was a lot. That was the politest debate club I've ever seen.
My favorite thing is that's an undercard battle. I think the rest of them are main events. So I was like, all right, we'll ease. They sent me notes, and they're like, this is, I'm including an undercard battle. And I was like, great. 3 jokes. Bam, bam, bam. And wow.
No, those were 3 monologues.
Yeah. Really heated up towards the middle, though.
Yes.
There was one exchange, and I think this is the thing when you shoot just volume shots like that, when you take 20 shots in a battle, you're gonna miss some of them.
Yep.
And there were misses, but when they really got firing in that one exchange about, like, you know, the hair and on your mom's lower back and all that kind of shit, like, that was really, really fun.
Yeah, I think the risk of piling on joke after joke after joke is if you have one miss, everyone after that is probably going to start to lose steam pretty rapidly. Because we're like, you did one, it was fine. You did another one, it was terrible. Stop now. Like,
yeah. It's a fine line because, like, I mean, it's something I'm not good at, right? So I know for me, my strategy is always like less is more. Stick with the jokes, have some pre-planned kind of rebuttals. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. But there are some people who really thrive doing that, and I think these
Connor
guys.
McSpadden.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, Connor. Even somebody like, you know, Digits is really good at just sort of like filling up the stat sheet, taking a whole bunch of shots. They don't all connect, but enough do to make it worthwhile. I think in this battle, I think more connected for Dave.
100%.
I thought he was more kind of like on the ball. I thought Harvasp's best moments were kind of in that back and forth. I think Dave had the edge, though, in like off the cuff stuff and written material. I thought he clearly controlled this battle.
Definitely. I agree. I think Dave stayed in that pocket. He had what he had and didn't go into extra innings unnecessarily. And I know, like, in my battle career, I tried hitting those like multiple shots in battles, and they weren't as good. They weren't as successful as like if I just have a couple sniper shots, and maybe Harvasp will cultivate that strategy and it will become better for him. But right now, I don't think.
Look, he will. He will. Of all the cities we're introducing, Toronto is the newest. Denver and Barcelona had previously existing shows that operated under other names. We sort of scouted them out. Toronto was the only city where somebody came to me and they said, hey, we want to be part of the league. And I said, hey, what is your show? And they said, hey, we don't have one. And I said, all right, well, you got to get one going. You got to run some shows. You got to sell some tickets. I got to see some footage. And they did a really, really nice job.
So how long have they been around?
So literally 6 months.
Oh. All right.
So there's going to be a learning curve for everybody. And I think that one of the mistakes a lot of times newer people make is you just get up there and you're uncomfortable in like a moment of silence. Just like keep going, keep going, keep going. And I think they will sort of refine those rough edges. The thing about Harvasp is like he had a couple of angles that were really mean and cutting. Like to me, Dave clearly won the battle, but Dave's probably also the one who went home and was like, damn, that kind of hurt. When he said Dave was in his 20s,
oh my God, that
hurt my soul. If that's accurate, oof, buddy, that's destructive right there. And the one was just, and I don't even think there was like a punchline attached to it, but it was just sort of like, he was like, I'm better than you. I've made more money than you. You shouldn't be allowed to look me in the eye right now. I was like, damn, dude, that guy is cutting deep.
And that, but I loved that. I loved how mean it was, and then it would follow it with, could I finish now, please? Like the most polite, like.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's your turn now. I'm like, this is adorable.
They were very deferential in their insults.
Yes, and clearly having a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that was the number 5 battle. That was and it was included. And I asked the league, the different city, presidents to sort of send me a rundown of like why they were including everything. And they said we wanted an undercard and we wanted just the sheer volume of back and forth. So I'm going to believe that not all of them are going to be like that. If they are, it's going to be a long show because Jesus Christ. But a lot of fun to start us off. And we continue the trend now of names that are entirely too long. As we get to our number 4 battle, this is going to be Sarah Ashby versus Mark Korakianitis. Korakianitis. I think I got that right. Mark Korakianitis versus Sarah Ashby, number 4. Here it is.
Sounds like an affliction in your elbow or something. I got Korakianitis. You know what I mean?
I want to fuck Sarah so bad, but the only people that get fucked by Sarah are people that buy tickets to her comedy shows.
At least they enjoy themselves. Mark and I are both from London, Ontario, and it's pretty apparent by the fact that we smoke copious amount of weed, have father problems, and gorgeous tits. Mark says he has ADD, but I don't believe that, okay? I don't believe that because, like, Mark, I don't think you have ADD. You have 2 DDs on your chest right now.
Somebody sounds jealous. Sarah, you look like if Harley Quinn got abused by the entire lineup of the DC villain comic book series instead of just the Joker.
Mark was actually a background character in the Trailer Park Boys. Not because he auditioned for it, just because he lives there. You just give off trailer trash energy, you know? Like you look like you'd yell at someone for getting a sportsman's name wrong, but like you'd cry if they asked how you're genuinely doing today.
Thank you, Sarah Ashby. Sarah's born and raised in London. She comes, unsurprisingly, from a long line of teen moms. The only lines longer are the rails her mom snorted while pregnant.
Mark and I actually exchanged cheat sheets before the show just so I would know who the fuck he is. And so Mark can finally say he cheated with a pretty girl. Literally, I thought Mark's name was Mike for the longest time. But like, to be fair, he's always at open mics and has never left his mark on anything.
Alrighty. Sarah is pro-abortion. Sarah is pro at getting abortions. Sarah runs through so much dick, I call her Terry Cox.
I like that. Get halfway through Canada. Look, Mike's joked tonight about how I fuck and suck and I'm full of cum. But to be fair, he is also full of cum and sucks.
Sarah loves to do Pokemon-inspired makeup looks. But unlike Pokemon, she's never heard the words, I choose you.
Mark's dad was killed by a doctor, and it was deemed a medical accident because saying it was a mercy killing after finding out his son did stand-up didn't really fly. If you're thinking, oh, that's so dark, that's exactly what Mark's dad thought when the pillow covered his face.
I wish it was a pillow that covered his face.
That's it, right? Yeah.
That was
awesome.
That was more like it. There we go. 5 jokes, main event, back and forth, entire thing done in 3 minutes. Well written, well crafted. Really good work there.
That was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed both of them. First of all, opening the battle with, I want to fuck my opponent so bad.
I was thinking, like, we're 2 seconds into the battle and I'm laughing out loud.
Yep.
Versus the first battle where it's like they took so long to sort of heat up. You're like 3-4 minutes in before you're like, all right, now we're getting going. Immediately, Mark is just like, let me make my setup hilarious to the first joke. Well done. That was great.
Yeah, I love that. I did, and I was like, oh shit, he's immediately out in the front, you know, like, because it was such for both of us in the room, like a big pop. And I was like, oh, Sarah's going to have an uphill climb. And then she just came out and hit him with like haymaker after haymaker. And I thought they both had really, really, really well-written jokes. I thought Sarah had a little bit better written jokes. And then on top of that, she was having fun. Mm-hmm. And Mark, after saying he fucked her, then kind of slipped into this like deadpan, like, it made it a little serial killery almost. Like, I want to fuck you, and now I'm not gonna have any fun in this.
Oh, I didn't get that at all.
It wasn't. He was. I think he
maybe
was
it's our
nervous.
incel energy. I don't know, but I was like, this guy's relatable right now, dude. I'm super into this.
And I think it was probably nerves. But Sarah had a smile on her face the entire time. She had a lot more open and like happy energy. Where Mark was a lot more serious, and I thought, if you took all the jokes away, like Sarah would have edged it for me on that alone, because she was just having more fun.
Okay,
and was more. I liked watching it.
I could see that. I liked both of their stage presences. The thing that I liked is that they were both like very different but very effective, kind of in both, in my opinion, stage presence and joke writing. Sarah did a lot of the stuff that I really love, which can be hit or miss. I was immediately won over when she tried to. I love the really complicated, tricky jokes to pull off. The through the legs, behind the back dunk. I love it. So when you try to incorporate his tits and his ADD and come up with ADD, no, he has 2 DDs. They're on his chest. Like, I really admire someone who just goes for it with an ambitious joke like that. So I love that. Her writing style on most of the jokes was top-notch for me. But he was also really good at doing something that's super effective, which is picking a sort of subject and getting the reference that most people would understand and sort of just twisting it into that. I got a note with the battle explaining that the local reference when he said, she's run through so much dick, I call her Terry Cox. Apparently, Terry Fox is a Canadian hero, a one-legged amputee who ran across the country.
Oh.
So that is a reference that obviously we don't get, but it plays up there. He did the Pokemon thing, and he's like, what is the simplest phrase or turn of phrase I could pull from this and make it make sense to everybody? And I think that's a really effective way, too. I wasn't even watching this thing trying to figure out who won. To me, I just had a really, really good time.
I will also say that Sarah exemplified a longer joke and like a 3-hit joke that we were just talking about previously, because each one of her, there might have been a couple in the middle that weren't several punches, but I know at least like the first couple, there were 3 punches, but each one could have stood alone, but they added to each other.
Absolutely. How do the pieces fit together? When you're putting a joke together, how many pieces are there? Are there more than you need? And if there are a lot, how do they connect? If you are doing a 2-hitter and the first part can A, get a laugh, and B, heighten what is going to be in the second part, it's going to set it up. That's a perfect reason to do 2 jokes back to back. If you are going to open with "you look like Super Mario on Wish.com," and then your next joke has nothing to do with Super Mario or Wish or anything sort of in that vein, what was the point of that first one?
Exactly.
Why was that there? Right? So there has to be a reason if you're going to do multiple jokes and make it long for the audience to give you that emotional investment. It's either got to be they're both bangers, or one sets up the other. I think they both have to be related. I think everything has to be on the same topic. And it doesn't feel like at no point when I was watching Sarah did I think like, why is she doing so many jokes?
Yep. And I think a lot of times with those multi-hit jokes, like, rule of threes, a lot of times it's in a 3. It seems like to me what I've observed is that the first 2 could stand alone but are related to each other. And then the third one couldn't really stand alone, but 100% tags and adds to the first 2.
Absolutely. It's it's working backwards, right? So you're like, how am I getting to this place that I want to go? And can I do something along the way that makes it easier to get there, easier for me to get there, and easier for the audience to understand what we're doing?
Yep.
So, and the other note I got on that was their first ever show. So that's why the video quality was a little bit lower. He included that, like, sorry about the video quality. I don't care about the video quality. I'm just impressed by this is the first roast battle show in the history of Toronto, and these 2 guys come up, and they look like they've been doing it for years.
They obviously had to have done it somewhere else.
Possibly. I don't know. I don't know the history of the roast battle in Canada, but that was definitely the first one of this iteration in Toronto.
Well, Sarah, Mark, hit me up on Instagram and tell me if this was your first one ever or not, because I need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to know. We're very impressed. Let's keep it moving. Battle number 3 has, I guess, the easiest names to pronounce thus far, which I'm excited about.
Right.
This is another main event. This is Jordan Trafford versus Sebastian. Is that the easiest one? And I fucked it up. Sebastian? Jordan Trafford versus Sebastian Fazio. Is it Sebastiano? All right, I take it back. It's not easy to pronounce at all. Jordan Trafford versus Sebastiano Fazio. Sebastiano Fazio is the most Italian fucking name I've ever seen. Jesus Christ. Anyway, here it is.
Gonna go first. All right, guys, make some noise. Sebastian Fazio, main event.
Jordan gave his pet cat away to a farm. Weird, because he was left outside of the fire department when his parents gave away a giant pussy. Jordan was actually fired for his construction job for incompetence. Not only did he come from a broken home, he made sure everyone else did too.
Sebastian's mom has dreadlocks and converted to Rastafarianism. I mean, I've heard of blackface, but she went black faith. Sebastian's family is actually well known for appropriating black culture. His mother has dreadlocks, and his father has left.
For a queer person, Jordan is so dull. If Jeffrey Dahmer lured him to his apartment, he'd kill himself. Jordan is a landlord in the gay village. He's so friendly. His back door is always open.
I also leave a key under the mat. Sebastian was a virgin until he was 27 years old. Sebastian is 27 years old. He recently hosted a Harry Potter themed roast. It didn't go very well though, because the only spells he knows are dry spells. Hold on. Sebastian was a virgin until he was 27. The most he's accomplished in his entertaining career is making the 27 Club sound more sad.
Jordan's family is from England. He's so inbred, his favorite porn site is called OnlyFams.
We look related. Sebastian was a virgin forever. And that is because he is ugly. When Sebastian used to get ready for school, his mom would come into his room and yell, "Sebastian, you will not be putting on makeup as long as you are living under this bridge."
Jordan was banned from his LGBTQ hockey league because as a bisexual, he couldn't pick a team.
Sebastian's favorite movie of all time is the musical Grease. He was banned from an LGBTQ ball hockey league for being too gay. Hold on. Sebastian lives with his fatherless niece and his two sisters. His mom has dreadlocks and his father left him for a stripper. If Sebastian's family was any more white trash, they would have fucked him.
I'm a virgin, so no, they wouldn't.
Okay, last joke.
Jordan invited his nephew over to watch the Leafs take on Nashville. Later that night, they were both fucked over by predators. Which is a shame because Jordan's nephew looks up to him. And he won't let him look away until he finishes. Seriously, Jordan's so perverted he calls his dick the TTC because kids 12 and under ride for free.
They call your dick the TTC because it never comes. We're going to end on this because there's a game on.
God, no.
When Sebastian was young, his dream job was to be a cop. Then he was an aspiring pro basketball player. He is only a comedian because his first dream job shot his second.
Okay, that was it. That's the main event. First main event battle.
Let's start here. I'm officially a huge Jordan Trafford fan.
Yeah, that was incredible. I was watching it. I'm like, Toronto, I take back everything I said. I want to go to Toronto now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was blown away by how funny that was. First of all, they both have the papers. They both have the cards. Sebastian, not Sebastiano.
Tell the captains to spell the name right on the video then.
Hey, Captain, spell the name right on the video. Cody's mad at you. Sebastian comes out with the paper, and it felt like he was a third grader reading like a book report that he had written.
A great book report. A very well-written,
very well-written book report. Absolutely.
Report.
But I felt like very little emotion behind the jokes. There was no, except for his last one. I almost feel like he took the battle, wrote his last joke first, and then was like, whatever, I'll do all the rest, there. He ended so strong, and there was passion behind the joke, and it was like, it wasn't like he was reciting it. It was like he was telling the joke like a comedian. It was really, I was like, damn, where was that all battle? Because he was very, to me, very like reedy. But Jordan was kind of that way, but in an over-the-top, this is meant to be funny kind of way. His delivery was great. His jokes, his written jokes were incredible. The way he flipped the LGBTQ like hockey team.
Yeah, what a gift.
With the grease. It was just I was blown away. And not to take anything away from Sebastian, who had very well written jokes and like enjoyable performance and everything. But Jordan, I fell in love the moment he said Sebastian was a virgin until he was 27. He is currently 27.
Yeah. I liked him from the very opening when he fake laughed at Sebastian's jokes. And we're like, oh, shit, here's the person that doesn't take himself too seriously, understands comedy, understands timing, is very comfortable in silences. Like, he really utilized the quiet and took his time and said some of the meanest shit ever. In the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And we talked about in the last joke, if you're doing multiple jokes, why? What is the purpose? And you saw it in the very first joke. His mother dreadlocks converted to Rastafarianism, which the setup already, you got me there.
I know. I'm like.
And then the blackface, black faith, which was fine, but it was mostly setting up the appropriating black culture. His dad left the perfect pause, perfect delivery on the joke. And I think the reason the haha worked was because, I don't know about you, but I'm watching Sebastian, and his first joke was, in my opinion, his worst joke. And he's reading it off a paper, and I'm thinking he might not know what he's doing. This guy might be really bad. And Jordan immediately, that sarcastic laugh, it echoed what the crowd was thinking, which is just like, oh, that was a great try. As your people say, bless your heart.
Yeah. And it also showed that Jordan does know what he's doing and is like, hold on, I've got this, everybody. Like, I know what I'm doing, even if this one doesn't. Like, you're in good hands.
Yeah, yeah, and even the phrase you just used, hold on. As little as this sounds, I've seen in the belly room, like, experienced battlers, they'll do a rebuttal, and then they have a joke, and then the other person goes to go, and they're like, no, hang on, that was my rebuttal, and they're like breaking down all the rules. Yeah. And he was just like, when he had more to say, he would just go, hold on. He wouldn't even like look up. He would just like, he controlled the room.
100% controlled the room. Yeah.
And great writing, really good stuff from both of them. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it, but to me, Jordan controlled it. And we still got 2 battles to go, but right now I'm coming out of this one being like, that's the guy that I have my eye on in Toronto. I feel like all these new cities, there's the first person that hits us where it's like, oh, that person's going to be a problem. To me, Jordan Trafford is that guy.
Yep, I agree.
All right, well, and he has an easy name to pronounce, which works in his favor.
That's
also.
The main reason.
By the way, I think in all 3 of these battles, the person with the easier name to pronounce won.
So far.
Yeah, so far. Maybe that's the thing. The people with the long names also have the long jokes, which is interesting.
So if you're a battler in Canada, change your name immediately to Tom Jones.
Tom Jones,
and you'll be great.
The other note that I got, then again, wasn't Rob Ford their crack-smoking mayor?
Sure.
Oh, if you know, you got to Google Rob Ford. It's great. That dude was.
No, I know
insane.
who he is. I just don't know if that's his name. So I'm like, sure.
Pretty sure it is. The one note I got on that one is the TTC is the Toronto subway, which I think we got from context clues. But I loved. We should mention this. That was another off-the-cuff rebuttal when he said he's like the TTC because his dick is like the TTC, kids 12 and under ride for free, which is great.
Great joke.
And then he spent the whole battle saying this guy's a virgin, and he goes, he's like the his dick's like the TTC because it never comes.
Yeah. Yep.
Couldn't have scripted it better. Let's get to the number 2 battle now, and these names are both easy to pronounce, although one of them is quite strange. This is Daniel Shaw versus Foad HP.
Cool.
Foad, F-O-A-D space H-P. Can't wait to see what this fucking guy is all about. Daniel Shaw, Foad HP. Here it is, number 2.
Daniel has 3 well-trained cats. He trained the cats because he was tired of being unable to make pussies come.
I can't make those cats come either. I'll be honest with you. I tried fingering them. I don't know.
Yeah, the cats can't consent either.
It's not so dark. So dark. So quick.
Oh, you oily tycoon. Foad's father was Iranian and abusive, which is just known as being an Iranian dad. Yeah, those two go together like peanut butter and jelly, or Foad and child services.
Daniel's dad was physically abusive and beat Daniel mercilessly. So sad that he ran off.
Actually, it was my stepdad, and he was Iranian. So, Foad is vegan, so he struggles to hold down his protein. Oh, sorry, read that wrong. Foad is vegan, so he struggles to hold down a preteen.
Is that why you target children? Daniel was born at Wasaga Beach, and Daniel's mom was fined $5,000 for leaving trash on the beach.
I'm glad you could take the night off from poisoning protesters. Foad left Iran when he was 4, and 2 years later he was molested by a family friend. Yeah, I don't want to do this joke either. You know what they say? You can take the kid out of Iran, but you can't take the Iranian out of the kid.
That's fine.
That's how we're ending it. Sexual abuse. Should we do another one? One more joke?
Alright, one more fucking joke. Daniel is from a small town, and he grew up doing small town things like drinking, farming, and lynching. I'm kidding, his past isn't that dark. There's only one instance of blackface.
I thought that'd be funny. All right. Yeah, Foad's parents, also first cousins. Yeah, they are. You know what they say? You can take the cousins out of Iran. But you can't take that extra chromosome out of Foad.
Yeah, of course the German guy's into eugenics.
Things. Number one, Foad, not Foad.
Yep.
I apologize. That was the most American pronunciation of a name. In my defense, I didn't know that he was going to be Iranian or anything like that.
I almost asked if it was Foad, but you said it with such confidence that I was like, no, he knows.
I'm like, dude,
I thought
I know
like
how
they
to read.
sent you like pronunciation maybe. I was like, I'm not gonna.
They didn't send me anything. If I had taken 5 seconds to do due diligence and review the video like any self-respecting commissioner should have, I would have known.
You wouldn't be on this podcast.
That's a good point. Yes, exactly. So Foad. And then you noticed something interesting, and it all clicked for me. It was like my end of the usual suspects moment. Sebastian Fazio from the last battle, you said, is he the host of this battle? And there is, I remember, I believe he goes by the Instagram name Roastmaster Bash, which is like Sebastian. So I think that's what's happening here.
All right.
I think the guy from the last battle, Sebastian Fazio, is also the host, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
Still lost the last battle, but impressive nevertheless.
Also, I like that he didn't mention it or anything. Just slipped it in and.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a guy who does not care about the limelight. He is just there for a good time. Speaking of a good time, the determining factor for me, the separation for me of those two guys was I did not feel like Foad was having a great time up there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's weird because you're so in the moment trying to remember your jokes. He was also one of the only ones who had his jokes memorized. So I've always struggled with this where I look like I'm not having a good time up there, but I reflect back on my battles and I'm like, that's the most fun I've ever had in my life on that stage. It's incredible. And it did not seem like he was really enjoying it versus Daniel had this sort of goofy kind of like fun energy. And it's interesting in a competition where the idea is to insult the other person and say ruthless things, how much of that likability can end up being a factor? Did you get the same thing from that battle?
100%. I think if Foad had tried to say the joke that Daniel said at the end about you could take an Iranian out of Iran, I don't know that it would have hit being delivered without the joy that Daniel delivered it with. Also, I think it's very funny that in Canada, they're like, we can't end on that joke. But like,
right.
Which I was like, that's a great fucking joke.
Yeah.
That's a great way to end the battle. And then also the balls on Daniel to then turn around and be like, oh, you didn't like that one? Here's another one.
Right, with the little callback.
Yeah, like I was hoping for another molestation joke just to really be like, fuck you, I'm doing it.
Right.
But I just the callback itself was incredible. And the joke was good. I wanted it to be another molestation joke just to really
absolutely hammer it home. Make them go 5 overtimes because you keep ending on molestation jokes and they're like, we can't. Do you have any other material? It's like, nope.
No.
That's all I have. The thing I loved about Daniel is he had sort of this. I have a 5-year-old at home, right? And he's at that age now where he'll do things he knows he's not supposed to do, right? He'll climb up and try to grab cookies off the top of the refrigerator. And you'll pull him aside and be like, are we supposed to do that? And he'll just look at you and like giggle and be like, yes. And you're like, no. And he's like, no. He knows the answer. But he has just this mischievous sort of giggle before he says the thing, which is kind of how Daniel was. There were a couple of jokes where he was like, I don't want to do this one, but you were molested.
Yeah.
Which was, it was awesome.
It's also the lead up to the cookie jar where he keeps looking over at you like, is he going to stop? I know I'm not supposed to, but like, you're not stopping me. So here I go. And you're like, ooh, I can't wait to hear what this is going to be.
Yeah. Between that and the last battle, every city has sort of like their own unique kind of like feel to it, right? And, you know, I didn't want to come in and overly hammer home the Canadians are so polite kind of thing, blah, 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 right? Because that's a hacky American premise, even if it's true. But every city has their own feel. And what I'm getting out of Toronto is that their feel is like, oh, we're being naughty right now.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be doing this. But as long as we're here, his mother died of AIDS. Oh, my God, I'm so bad. A very sort of endearing quality to these battles. I just, I'm really impressed.
I am too. I also am, the trend of the longer jokes seems to be a very, at least in this 5 sample, which I can't say, but way more than we see in other cities, I think.
Yeah, they're definitely squeezing more jokes in there, more volume. I think some of that might be because it's a brand new show. If you get asked to do this and the show doesn't exist, it's the first one, you don't know if there's going to be a second one.
True.
You might say, hey, in LA, you could battle every month if you want to. So, save some bullets, right? If you have an idea that you're like, oh, maybe I could, repurpose this for another battle, great. But here it's like, this might be the only time I get to do this. So let's go balls out. I think this will smooth out a little bit as we go forward. I think people will stop doing so many jokes. But the people who are doing them well, and we've said this before, I'm not going to belabor the point, but the ones who are using the initial joke to set up the later joke, I think they're doing it like really successfully.
I would agree.
And last note on this battle, although I enjoyed both of them and I enjoyed Foad and everything like that, and he really sort of, as the battle went on, he got stronger. We've seen 2 of them on this episode. We will see more on future episodes. We've seen 1,000 in past episodes. Can we put a moratorium on the cat pussy wordplay?
Pat hates that.
For the love of God. I'm begging everyone out there. It's been done. We got it.
That being said,
got it.
It did give us the gift of Daniel being like, yeah, I tried fingering him too. Which
for
was
sure.
incredible.
For sure. So, yeah, maybe I should be careful what I wish for because we wouldn't have had that magical moment. But, in what other show could you win the crowd over by going up there and, the very first thing you say is
I molest my cat.
Yeah. I finger my cat and I'm not very good at it. And the crowd's like, we love this fucking guy.
That's what makes the roast battle such an amazing show.
It's magical.
It's magical.
It really, really is. Well, we've had a great episode, great run of battles, and this is the one that they said is number 1. This is also, I believe this is the main event from their very first show. This is the number 1 battle, according to Toronto, that they ran last year. I'm excited to see it. This is Bryan O'Gorman versus Leonard Chan. Easy names to pronounce. Presumably hilarious battlers. Bryan versus Leonard. Here it is.
Yeah, Leonard might look like he's an impotent dweeb with no pubes, sure. But the fact is, he is actually a swinger. He's well known in the swinger community by his nickname, that crying guy whose wife everyone fucks. Good opener.
That was great. I love it. That was fantastic, right? Excellent. Also, I'm really nice. It's nice to see you have a piece of paper there. You read your jokes, otherwise I would not have thought you were literate. But so nobody knows who we are, right? So we have to just kind of say, I look like jokes, right? You gotta do that. So I was gonna do I look like jokes. So Bryan O'Gorman looks like an extra from Breaking Bad.
I look like the main method.
Bryan O'Gorman looks like if Lance Armstrong lost both testicles to cancer. And Bryan O'Gorman looks like Snoop Dogg in whiteface.
Thank you. That wasn't 1 joke, that was 3 jokes.
That was a 3
But that was great, that was like a bunch of compliments. Thanks, Leonard. Leonard wrote those jokes with a calculator.
Abacus, buddy, I'm old school.
Leonard's rich Chinese family sent him to a fancy university, hoping that he would achieve greatness. But instead, he does mediocre comedy. The only way Leonard's parents could hate him more is if he admitted Taiwan was a country. Say it, Leonard. Say Taiwan's a country. Why won't you say it, Leonard? Say it into your phone.
Say it, Leonard, say it. I have a family, man. I'm not gonna say that shit in your mind. Fucking, they're listening. They're listening right now. Bryan O'Gorman was one of the first in line to get vaccinated because he will welcome literally any syringe.
Give it up, baby. All right. Leonard Chan's entire career is a quota hire. Chinese-themed comedy shows, Chinese-themed galas, Chinese-themed gangbangs where Leonard watches his wife's pussy get blasted into another galaxy by an entire ping-pong team. The only time Leonard has been booked for something based on his ability was when he crashed his van into the back of a parked car.
Now, Bryan's just a 100% of quotas because he's completely unemployable right now.
It's true. It's true.
Well, Bryan O'Gorman, of course, is Irish, right? And Bryan is very proud of that. He actually told me this story about one of his Irish ancestors, Gormond MacDiarmada, who in 593 AD invaded England with an army of African soldiers, and despite being Irish, was known as King of the Africans. And I was like, Bryan, that is a cool story, but no, that does not give you permission to keep saying the N-word.
It just feels so good. It's fun being white trash. Ask your wife. Actually, Leonard's wife recently started a job at a cat and dog rescue, which is great for Leonard because now he doesn't have to do groceries. I really like him, though.
Alright, I mean, you keep coming over for dinner anyway, so, you know what we're serving.
Yeah, they're nice to their grandparents. We throw them out, so.
That's true. That is a white thing. That is a white thing. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Like, if I wouldn't want an old white person around, I'd put him in a home, too. So.
Smell it.
So Bryan actually, he got clean over the pandemic. He started doing yoga. So actually, right now, the only N-word he says is namaste. But he actually, the thing about Bryan is that, oh fuck, where's this joke going? I'm so high, this is the problem. It's a contact high from just being this motherfucker.
Smell my hair.
Here's the thing, Bryan is a white liberal, alright? He's a white liberal, he doesn't want anybody to think he's racist. Of course, he actually doesn't say the N-word. Alright? He so doesn't want you to think he's racist, he actually got circumcised, so even his dick would never be seen in a white hood.
Like backhanded compliments. So nice. Like trying to like aggressively insulting me in a nice way. And your penis is fantastic too. Thank you. I'd like to just say that. I mean, sure, we're having a lot of fun here, but I'd like to defend my friend Leonard for a second. You know what I mean? Yes, Leonard is a cuckold with no pubes. Yes, Leonard is a jokeless trust fund baby. Yes, Leonard is an objectively terrible comedian. But I will be damned if I let anyone call him Chinese. Leonard went to white schools, he has a white wife, and he drinks white wine. This man is a Chinese Uncle Tom. He is a General Tao. The only authentically Chinese thing about Leonard is he can't make his wife come. But again, I like him very much.
Bryan, to correct you, I believe the correct term is Uncle Tom Yum Goong. I need to get this right. You know what? He defended me. I'm going to defend him. Bryan is actually a very, very good son. All right? He's an amazing, amazing human, good son. When his father actually was diagnosed with cancer, and Bryan dropped everything, came back, took care of his dad, you know, medication, feeding him, everything. All right? And if Bryan just puts as much care and effort into his career as he did taking care of his dad, his career would also be dead.
That's pretty fair. I didn't know you had it in you, Leonard.
Standing. Bryan O'Gorman versus Leonard Chan. Great stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome. They clearly are good friends, and we're having an awesome time up there. They both had great stage presence. They both were engaging. I particularly enjoyed Bryan found a way to be, as you said earlier in the episode, reedy, but in a very effective way. Like it seemed to me intentional at points where it was like, I'm reading this off a paper, but he was doing it in such a performative way that it added to the joke.
Absolutely.
Instead of distracting, which I thought was really interesting to watch.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think that, you know, we've talked so much on this show about people having notes on stage. And, you know, I think both you and I are pretty consistent, you especially, in your absolute hatred of it.
I think I'm starting to be a little bit more forgiving, outside of like long-standing battlers.
Well, so here's the thing, right? So Jimmy Carr in Roast Battle Season 1 on Comedy Central went out there with a clipboard. And he ended up losing an important battle because he got called out for having a clipboard and reading off of it. The thing about the clipboard is there's nothing written on it. It was you weren't aware of that.
I did not know that.
It was completely blank. He had nothing on this is my understanding. It was literally a prop.
Right.
The reason it was effective is because we didn't have to know that there was nothing written on it. At no point did I watch that and think he would be unable to perform without notes. He was not dependent upon them. People who get up there and they're reading, Sarah Keller grew up in Minnesota and blah, blah, blah. I think without that phone, they would be fucked.
Yes.
Without the paper, they would be fucked. The people who were able to effectively do this today, I think if you took that paper away from Bryan, he'd have been fine.
Yep.
I think Jordan earlier would have been fine. I think Daniel Shaw would have been fine. They might have them there to give themselves little like reminders or notes or whatever, but I think that they memorized and they believed in their material, and the paper was sort of inconsequential. I think they could do it without it. The ones where it really jumps out to me are the people where they are reading directly off of the thing, and you think that that is a necessity for them.
Yeah, and I think for me it comes across as a lack of preparation. Mm-hmm. Which then translates to a lack of caring about the show. And I think that's where my vehement opposition to it comes is if you can't be bothered to rehearse your jokes,
right,
don't bother to go on the stage.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's fair. And ultimately, I hate to see when somebody doesn't have the notes and then they forget a joke.
100%.
And you're like, oh, no. If only you had notes, but you were worried about getting yelled at by Sarah Keller on the RBL Weekly podcast, so you didn't bring them. But I admire, I'm also willing to give it a little bit of a pass because it's like, okay, you forgot your joke. You figured it out. They had built enough goodwill up until that point. They were both really doing well.
Yes.
You were able to sort of survive that. And then when he remembered the joke was great. So it was really, really well done. I still prefer no notes, but if you're able to incorporate them as part of your performance and it adds to your performance versus taking away from it, I think, do what you do.
Yeah, I thought they both were so good. They had such well-written jokes, original. Bryan maybe has one of my top 10 favorite jokes of all time.
The gangbang.
The gangbang. I mean, Jesus Christ, that was a fucking perfect joke. And then to call back to like, hey, remember that really, really, really good thing I said earlier?
Yeah.
That joke was absolutely incredible.
And just throwing in the ping pong team.
Oh, yeah, the callback got funnier with every detail.
Yeah.
That was added, and I just was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. And they both had sort of ambitious closers that were both really, really well executed. I didn't think Leonard had a shot at the end there, and we sort of had that like meandering kind of setup, and he pulled it all together beautifully. Maybe my favorite moment of the battle, and this is a personal preference thing, but when he said the thing about like admit Taiwan is a real country.
Oh, that was...
I'm a big fan, and I was able to do this when we battled in Denver, and I battled Doug Fager, again, back in like 2018, 2019, and Doug is a really hard person to write for. And every one of my jokes accused him of something horrific. I believe one of my setups was, Doug is a prolific child molester. Everybody in LA knows about it. And with every joke, I accused him of something more and more heinous and added the tag, everybody in LA knows about it. To me, there is something very funny about the overtop, almost like accusation of like war crimes or something like that. So when somebody takes a very serious thing, like recognize Taiwan as a country right now, that's so silly to me that I adore that kind of stuff.
And there's real danger.
Sure. For who?
Because like if you're Chinese and you say that Taiwan is a sovereign country, like that the government doesn't like it when you don't agree with the Chinese government.
I think you could get away with it in Toronto.
I don't know.
I wouldn't do it in Hong Kong.
They always say that's why like you shouldn't have TikTok and stuff because
I mean,
I don't know.
To Leonard's credit, Leonard was like, nope.
Yeah.
That's where riffing could go wrong. We've seen battles where like they love to riff back and forth. Leonard was like, I'm not crossing that line. No.
Which I thought made it even funnier.
Absolutely.
Like that tension, and it was like, oh yeah. I like
One little thing on the riffing note that I picked up on there, and this is something that can't be taught. When the people are riffing and it's not going well and they keep riffing, it is almost like a lack of awareness of kind of what's going on. And these guys were riffing and it was going well. But one little tiny thing that I caught, at one point, Leonard threw out a riff and immediately was like, okay. And the thing still hit. But you could see his brain working and being like, we have to steer them back to the material immediately. Almost as soon as he said it, it was like he kind of regretted it. That was my interpretation anyway, because he inherently understands momentum and everything like that. So he said the thing and he was just like, okay, all right, let's get back to the thing right there. I think that's something you can't teach. If you've been on stage and you don't know when you're losing or, picking up momentum with the crowd, I don't know what to tell you, but that was obviously somebody who was aware of that, wanted to riff, but also didn't want to lose the crowd. And stuff like that is why they were the main event of the first show. They clearly understood what they were doing up there. As you said, clearly friends, the energy, the chemistry between the two was outstanding.
I think you touched on something that we haven't really talked about a lot here, and maybe because it is an intangible, is reading the room and how important it is in comedy in general, and especially in a roast battle where you're saying things that can make the audience uncomfortable. And I think now that I'm thinking about it, like personally, we haven't talked about it because it is not something you can learn. It's not something you can teach. It's not even something you can really describe, because you're like, yeah, just feel the room. What the fuck does that mean? When you get it, though.
Yeah, and it's not exclusive to roast battle. Look, if you're in stand-up comedy, you've met thousands of comedians.
Yeah, who had the special called Read the Room?
I don't know.
Oh, anyway.
Good title, though.
Somebody.
The best comedians I see are always very hyper aware of what is going on, to the point where it's almost a detriment. The best comedians are the ones who could crush in front of a crowd of 300 and they could name the 3 people that didn't think they were funny. And the worst comedians I've seen are the ones that bomb and have no awareness that they even bombed. They could have that same crowd of 300 and they only hear the 3 that are actually laughing. They don't hear the 297 that think they stink.
Yep.
And that is not something you can teach. It's inherent. It is how you perceive what is going on. But just like stand-up, the best roast battlers are the ones who show me that they are aware, whether it's going well or it's going poorly. I'm sure we both could name some names in the LA scene on both sides of it. We won't.
Sure.
You could see those guys were very much in the moment and aware of what was going on.
Yeah, and I think seasoned practice also comes in, because you can be able to read the room, but in the high pressure stakes of a roast battle, you might forget to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to slow down and be like, hold on, what's actually happening in the room, as opposed to like, what am I thinking in my head, is something that, again, can't be taught and comes from experience, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a lack of experience, the show has only been around for a few months now.
Oh my gosh.
Brilliant debut episode from Toronto. Very excited to have these guys in the league. We're going to continue. Next 2 weeks, we're going to be breaking down the newest cities, Denver and Barcelona. So stay tuned for that. And then once we have the full gamut of 10, we're jumping right back into season 2 of RBL, breaking down the top battles from around the league, bring back the standings. I'm really excited to get to all that.
Yeah, did we ever announce who won 2022?
Nah, we all got busy.
All right.
Chicago. To me, if you're asking me as the commissioner, I'm going to make an official ruling. I'm going to say Chicago. This year we'll do it more official like. Last year, we ran into a lot of work. Frankly, we both got, staffed on a TV show. So I didn't have time to make my little graphics. But unofficially, Chicago. Congratulations, 2022 champions. I'll see you guys at the parade. Until next time, I'm Pat Barker.
I'm Sarah Keller.
And this has been RBL Weekly. See you guys next week.